A disturbance has been detected in Fortnite Chapter 1 Season 8 OG, where rifts have begun to appear across the OG island, a sign of something or someone is coming. So if you look above the sky at Blue Lake in Fortnite Chapter 1 Season 8 OG, you will see a golden rift. The same golden rift that the Dark Voyager uses to travel across the Omniverse. Because back in Chapter 7 Season 2 cinematic trailer, we saw him demonstrating the golden rift when he threatens Fish Takes his life to have him give up the 0-point shard at Oceanic Salinity. And let's just say it was pretty menacing when we saw him using the power of the Golden Rift to travel across various realities in the Omniverse. But now, the Dark Voyager is officially coming to Fortnite Chapter 1 Season 8 OG. And you may be wondering, why is he coming to OG's timeline? Well, if you look what the Golden Rift is at, and put the pieces together, you'll find the answer. And that is, the Dark Voyager is coming to OG's timeline to get the last 0-point shard. Because as you know, the Dark Voyager's entire goal throughout Chapter 7 Season 1 and now currently to Chapter 7 Season 2 is to find all pieces of the 0-point and piece it back together. Because currently in Chapter 7 Season 2 Showdown, we have all 6 pieces of the 0-point on the Golden Coast. 3 that we know at Dark Dominion, the 4th one at Scribbly Shores, the 5th one at Frigid Fortress, and the 6th one at the outskirts of New Sanctuary. So the Dark Voyager is coming to OG's timeline to find the final 0-point shard at OG's reality in order to finally piece the 0-point back together. Because if you remember, in the Exalted Ice King's Battle Pass story quest, after placing 3 monitoring devices at 3 specific locations, one of them being Dark Dominion, to have the Exalted Ice King to eavesdrop on the Dark Voyager, we find out that the Dark Voyager was talking to his master. Of course, we don't know who it is, but we do know is that the Dark Voyager is coming to OG's timeline to finally complete his mission for his master. This could actually explain what's going on currently in Chapter 7 Season 2 Showdown. Because in Chapter 7 Season 2 Showdown, we were expecting that we were going to actually fight the Dark Voyager himself. But no, turns out all this time we have not been fighting the Dark Voyager, we've been fighting an echo of him. As you know, an echo of the Dark Voyager begins to spawn around the entire island. Which means we have not been fighting the Dark Voyager on the island. We've been fighting a echo, a clone of him, created not just by the Dark Voyager, but also by Voidwalker Lynx. Because in a loading screen, you will see that our various heroes are dealing with their situation, such as Hope and the Order trying to get the 7 secure server network back online, the Foundation fighting the Exalted Ice King. But if you look at the bottom, you will see the Visitor Reality Unknown spying on Voidwalker Lynx. The same Voidwalker Lynx that was in Chapter 1 Season 7 OG story when the Dark Voyager decided to recruit her to his cause in order to not only collect the 0-point shards, but to piece the 0-point back together. That means is that the Dark Voyager Echo that we see on the Golden Coast was created by the Dark Voyager and Voidwalker Lynx to throw us off guard, to throw us off track, to get us distracted, to not have us notice that the Dark Voyager is not on the Golden Coast, that he left the island, which I'm guessing is the 4th time in a row that he left the Golden Coast, that he is going to pursue the 7th and final 0-point shard, this time on OG's reality, OG's timeline, which means he's about to finally complete his objective throughout Chapter 7 Season 1, to finally find all the pieces of the 0-point across the Omniverse and finally piece it back together, like a complete 0-point sized jigsaw puzzle. Because as you know, that was the Dark Voyager's entire goal throughout Chapter 7 Season 1. His plan was to gather pieces of the Zero Point across the Omniverse, including using the one currently on the Golden Coast back in Chapter 7 Season 1, to gather all of the other two Zero Point shards to expose the Zero Point core, use his Dark Harvester's beam, which allowed it to use its backup power since its main power was drained, in order for him to bring out the other three Zero Point shards across the Omniverse, such as now currently at Scribbly Shores, Frigid Fortress, and the outskirts of New Sanctuary, and to create an echo clone of him to get us distracted in order for him to continue to pursue the final Zero Point shard, which is at OG's timeline. Because if you know what's below Loot Lake, you'll know that below it is the vault. The vault that used to contain the Zero Point, but possibly it will not contain a full, complete Zero Point in OG's timeline. No, it will probably contain a piece of the Zero Point in the vault. This could mean one thing, that the Dark Voyager is planning to disrupt and interfere with one of the particular events from Fortnite's history. And that is not only the vaulting event, where we actually see the Zero Point, which we'll probably get to see the shard of it in the vault, but also one crucial part of the story. And that is the fight between Mecha Team Leader and the Devourer. If the Dark Voyager interrupts those two events, the things are definitely going to be different from OG's timeline to the original Battle Royale timeline. Because as you know, the vaulting event was one of the key events, story plots of Fortnite's history, alongside with Mecha Team Leader fighting the Devourer. Because as you know in the original story, Mecha Team Leader was piloted by the Paradigm, had no choice but to expose the Zero Point, having it to finally give her the edge to destroy and defeat the Devourer, to prevent the island from being the Devourer's next meal. So yeah, the Dark Voyager is planning to do that, but how is he going to do it, you may be wondering? Simple. Using the scanner from his Dark Harvester to not only scan every single looper onto the OG island, but also to scan where the Zero Point shard is, which you'll probably not know where it is, because, as you know, he never exactly went to OG's timeline. Because, as you know, the Dark Voyager has spent his years trying to avoid the OG's variant of the Seven, because, as you know, the Dark Harvester and the Dark Voyager himself are not from the original timeline. They are from OG's timeline. And it makes sense because, as you know, the Dark Voyager is quite different than the original, because the original Dark Voyager is dead. He died after lunging himself onto the unstable Zero Point during when Batman was in the Fortnite Island, back in Batman Fortnite Zero Point comics series. Which means is that the Dark Voyager is planning to not only get the Zero Point, but possibly disrupt two crucial events that kicked off more of the Fortnite story, which is again the vaulting event and the fight between Mecha Team Leader and the Devourer, which is probably would not be good, because those two events are the reason that the Fortnite storyline has gone pretty insane throughout the years. And the Dark Voyager is planning to disrupt that. That will mean that Fortnite OG will be 100% different than the original Battle Royale timeline, because again, the Dark Voyager is not from the original timeline. He's from OG's timeline. Because as you remember in Chapter 7 Season 1 Breakpoint Story Quests, Interference is revealed by the Visible Reality Unknown that he's been stalking and chasing the Dark Voyager through burned out stars and crumbling ash realities, revealing to us that the Dark Voyager is indeed from OG's timeline. So he is coming back to his timeline. But since he never exactly went to the OG island, he'll probably be new to the island, which means he'll probably try to find some way to probably update his scanner to find the last Zero Point shard that he will need to piece the Zero Point back together. But if the Dark Voyager cannot find the last Zero Point shard, then we'll probably be safe. but that would not stop him to trying to find it, because the Dark Voyager never gives up on trying to find the rest of the Zero Point shards. I mean, we saw what happened in all stages of the Dark Harvester live events, that the Dark Voyager is relentless. He's focused on his goal. He doesn't want to let his master down, because according to the story of Chapter 7 Season 2 Showdown's Exalted Ice King Battle Pass story quest, he said that he will not fail his master, that he will continue his pursuit to find the rest of the Zero Point shards in order for him to finally succeed in his goal to piece the Zero Point back together. Which again, is not very good if the Zero Point is pieced back together, because the Zero Point is the most powerful artifact and the most powerful entity across the entire Omniverse, which will pretty be a bad sign if that thing is pieced back together. So, yep, that's it. That's what's going on in Chapter 1, Season 8 OG. With the actual Dark Harvester live event coming to OG tomorrow, we will now see the Dark Voyager coming to OG's timeline to try to find the last Zero Point shard. So with that said, thank you all so much for watching this video. Comment down below what your favorite things to do with Fortnite creativity by players, Fortnite Ballistic, Fortnite Reload, the arrival of Fortnite Chapter 1 Season 8 OG. Comment down below what your favorite moments in Chapter 7 Season 2 Showdown and Chapter 1 Season 8 OG. Comment down below what Fortnite theories you want me to discuss and debunk, and I'll gladly make videos about them. Subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss any videos from me, and I'll see all of you in the live event. Bye!